you so much, everyone. Youths in the ruling All Progressives Congress, APC, are asking President Muhammadu Buhari to sack the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Mr. Godwin Emefiele, over the continued hardship being faced by Nigerians as a result of the policy of the redesigning of the Naira notes. They addressed journalists in Abuja, and the convener, Ayo Yalowo, at that press conference says that the policy is targeted at ensuring that the party lose the 2023 presidential election. The youth are drawn from across the country, and they're wondering why just 11 days to the elections, Nigerians were still facing severe hardship over the monetary policy, arguing that the central bank governor is deliberately turning millions of Nigerians who would want to vote for the party against it. I'm now being joined by the convener of that group, Ayo Oyalowo. By every look of it, you're not a young person at all, is it?
I told you we are not young. I don't know where you brought the word young from.
You're not youth, but you may be young.
Everybody is young.
Thank you so much, Ayo, for joining us.
Yeah, thank you, Sean.
Right, indeed. Mate, you made some very strong allegations. You're asking for some very difficult decisions from the president. On what basis are these allegations and your submissions at that press conference?
Thank you, Sean. I actually wanted to read something here, but I'll have it in my head. The presidency released a statement through his spokesperson, Malam Garba Shehu, that they will study the Supreme Court judgment and abide by it. And also the attorney...
It was actually an injunction.
Yeah, the court injunction.
Yeah.
Don't worry, you are the law student.
No. So because there's no position yet.
And then the attorney general also, but you know, he said the status quo should stand. For now, that means the old Naira note should have been in use. And also the attorney general told the same line. So when we say the president should sack the CBN governor, we are saying that he's disrespecting not just the Nigerian people and the Supreme Court, but he's even disrespecting the man who appointed him in the first place. Because if the president, through his law officer, says they will study and follow whatever the injunction is until there is a substantive statement by the Supreme Court when they sit down to actually hear the allegation. Because what we have here is an ex parte motion saying stay execution until the case is properly heard, which was heard today, and then it was also moved to 22nd of this month, which is about next week, I think Monday or Tuesday. So if he is now deliberately going against what the law officer, who we believe is representative of the president, is saying, then why is he still in the office? I mean, Sean, let's look at this.
Why would he say that he's going against it?
Because...
Has he taken any decision?
Yes, because we saw today that a statement emanated from the CBN that the old note can no longer be used as a legal tender, which means he has disobeyed not just the Supreme Court, but he has gone against what his employer...
Have you been able to verify that statement, if it's coming from the CBN?
But you saw the news everywhere today. No, that money is being rejected by people. And now let's talk to ourselves. Sean, as we speak, Britain has just changed its currency because the Queen died some time ago, and they have a king, and his face is going to be adorning the new currency. There is no drama about it. Nigeria has changed currency several times. We've never had a drama. The United States just changed the dollar about 2-3 years back. I'm sure you remember that too. There was no drama because normally what you do is you let people spend the old money, and the moment it goes into the bank, it never comes out. Only the new one comes out. But those who still have the old one can do their businesses with it. But only in this country do we like unnecessary and unneeded drama. What do I mean? You release the new notes half of December, and by January, which means you are giving just 45 days after you have taken away about 3 trillion from the system, you are making about, 300 billion or so available, which is less than 10% of what we are talking about. You are actually precipitating a crisis, and we are seeing it today. As we speak, I'm sure you saw Benin, the CBN in Benin made a run on. We saw the another bank, I don't want to mention the names of those commercial banks in Delta, that was burned to the ground. We saw in Ilorin, you saw in Ibadan. And my fear is if this thing spread and escalate around the country, it becomes a crisis of an unprecedented and monumental proportion. So it beggars belief, and it beats every common sense when people sit here and say, oh, the old note is to buy currency, when even the CBN governor himself has said even the new one have been hijacked by politicians. We know that one gives new excuses every day, but he has just said that. So making it about politics is jejune, is very childish, because if you are talking about crisis that this money has created, the people that are being punished on the street today are not politicians. And if you say you want to stop people from buying votes, what you have just done now is, if we have to believe the CBN governor that some politicians have seized that money, then you have just made vote buying even more easier, because I'm not accepting it, but without considering, let's say people want to buy votes. The person that you will have paid 5,000 before, because of the situation you have put them now, they will take 500 naira just to eat, because we can see people's dignity being stripped of them. You saw grown men and women crying, not because they are begging for money, but because they cannot access their own money. How do we think this makes sense?
Let's take this issue one after the other. And you heard the guest when he said he was curious about the fact that most of those who have opposed the policy of the CBN are mostly supporters of your party and some of the governors of your party. And the question then begs, and you said as much in your press conference, that this policy is meant to make your party lose the election. Your opponents have alleged that your party wants to use the old notes to influence the election.
I mean, like I said earlier on, I'm trying to hold my language very well. It's so childish to even think about that. Because if the worst come to the worst, how much do you buy a vote? Seriously, how much? If you can't get Naira, you will get $1 and give people dollars. So making it about vote buying is beside the point.
Oh, you are stated in your press conference.
No. I will go there. You've asked me now. Let me.
No, yeah, I'm making reference to.
Yeah, I know. I will answer you.
Go ahead, please.
Now, it's not about buying votes. It's about creating anger. Go check online. People will say the party that brought this will vote them out. That's what we are talking about. It's about creating an enabling situation to make people be angry at. And we believe that the moment, whether it was contrived, whether it was by mistake, whether it was by omission or commission, the CBN governor threw his heart in the ring to run for election. That was the day he should have been fired. Whether it was true or not, no country in this world will accept that kind of thing, because you do not expect him to be partisan. You remember the moment that happened, what did the INEC say? That they can no longer trust the CBN to keep their critical material. Isn't that where they used to keep it? Now you see the danger we have created. So whether the man is actually a member of the party or not, he has given us a situation where we have to keep defending what we don't need to defend. The day those messages, those pictures came out of him buying about 50,000 cars to want to run, all of them branded, that was the day he should have been questioned. Because you can claim, oh, it's not me, some people bought it on my behalf. Who are those people? Now, this is where the problem began from. So we see it as a man who is angry, and he wants to use his anger to create a situation to ensure that the APC not only lose the election, to create a groundswell of anger against the party. Because we have never seen a situation in the entire world, you can quote me anywhere, where new notes are introduced, and in 45 days, you say people should bring over 3 trillion.
There is an update on the presidential.
Yeah, I saw it as I was coming in.
Yeah. Does that even increase your fear? Because you said that the plan is to make your party lose. Without poll, does it buttress the fact that your party is at the danger of losing the election?
No, we're not at the danger of losing the election, because Nigerians are not foolish. They can see what is going on, that this is a groundswell. I mean, you talked about the governors. Clearly, the APC governor have said, look, this is not our party's policy. But a governor who has made sure that his state assembly has not sat, he has refused to swear in 14 out of the 24 assembly members, is one of those people standing against the policy. I mean, to support this evil policy. Meanwhile, as at today, his state was on fire. So you see, these guys think everything is politics. It's not about politics, it's about humanity. I mean, put yourself in the shoes of those old men. those old women we all saw pulling off their dresses, crying because they couldn't eat. How do we make this about politics? Where is our humanity? We are saying you can't strip people of their dignity because you want to do a policy. I will tell you a story. A governor in Nigeria, he's now a former governor, and I was in a meeting with him a few days back, and he said this, and that struck a chord with me. He said, as a governor, I did a policy. What was that policy? I increased the school fees of a particular university. I don't want to mention the name of the governor. But when he increased the school fees, he was at Omura with some people, and the people were speaking in a language you understood, one of our local languages. And he had the father saying, well, I like the policy, but now I have to withdraw my child from school because I can't pay. He said, and he said this, I'm quoting him directly now, that so my policy will make this man not to put a child in school. So no. Then he said, I came back to Nigeria and I resigned the policy. Not because the policy was not good. He said, but when a policy, no matter how good it is, have unintended consequences that are damaging to people, a good policymaker sits down, review, and then re-strategize.
Ayo, did your party see this coming? Is it a situation of a house divided against
No. It's not the house divided against itself. Like I told you, it has something to do with our party. We have a man who lost, or who thought, because he has acquired whatever I think it is he has acquired, has done some very bad things, and probably some people have promised him that we will shield you, just ensure that they don't come back. Maybe not. But this is what we are looking at. That is why we are appealing to the president. That look, you have a legacy. You've spent 8 years. For the whole period you were a president until now, there have been no fuel crisis. Suddenly, at the twilight of your administration and at the eve of an election, there were crises everywhere. Fuel crisis, Naira crisis, now decide to join on it. Now the fuel crisis has eased. We thank God for that. At least in Abuja, I can see that. But this Naira crisis, the way the CBN governor is doubling down, you will find out that this is more than just policy.
So I then ask you, the president is the leader of your party.
Yeah.
He said that he will campaign for your candidate. You have alleged,
which he has been doing now.
Yeah, you have alleged that the on-the-ground pinnings of these is for your party to lose the election. Don't you think that the president has a bird's-eye view of the situation?
Yeah.
Just for a moment, as a leader of your party, do you think that the president, who you are saying that should take action, sees things from every angle and perhaps is taking the best decision?
Okay, well, you remember the president was interviewed sometimes back, and one of the things he said is that he doesn't want people to mobilize thugs and funds to commit electoral fraud and stuff. That's a legacy he wants to leave. Beautiful legacy. However, if you remember, I don't know how old you are, but in 1984, he did this exact thing.
Don't worry, I was alive.
he did this exact thing. I was in secondary school then, and my mom was a bank worker then, so I followed the event very closely. And he did it, and it worked. So you see, sometimes novelty, so somebody came to sell it to him, he will buy it because he thinks it's the right thing to do. However, like I said, this is where you are taking the president away from this issue. If you are the policy maker, and your policy have unintended consequences, you need to sit down and take a break and take a review. Now, the Supreme Court has said let the status quo remain, but we are getting mixed messages. The CBN say they won't take the money, that money is no longer legal tender. People should come and write application and wait for 4 weeks to get their money. What we are telling Nigerians is this is not our policy. And when Ashwaju wins, God willing, he will reverse this. If you have lost money in this, the money will be changed because this policy is not human policy. And I will give you an example. I remember in this your studio, Malam Nasir Rufai said something which was very key. And it's true. If you go to so many northern states, apart from the state capital, there are no banks in the villages. He gave example of Yobe and Borno, which is true. If you take away the capital, most people are unbanked. How do you give them 45 days? And don't forget, this government has been big on SMEs and all sorts. Most of these people who businesses are 5,000, 10,000, they are 100 kilometers away from the capital. How do you want to deny them? We've been sitting down here today, but we have forgotten. If just last weekend, somebody that I know got into a big trouble and we needed to send just about 100,000 to the person. 3 of us could not send. All our bank apps were not working. And the person was in a deep trouble. Now, this is it. We use technology. We will do cashless. We will do all these things. But you see, anywhere in the world, these things are encouraged. They are not legislated. They are not draconian. They are not done in a draconian way. So even if you want to encourage cashless transaction, what you do is you make sure that you remove all the unnecessary charges. Today, if you see, if I show you my bank app, you will see they charge me for transfer, charge me this, charge me that. Just small transfer, you get plenty charges. Then you get them charging you for ATM maintenance, they charge you for card maintenance, they charge you for all manner of spurious charges. So if you want to encourage cashless transfer, you don't force people and make people's life miserable.
We're due for a break in just a few minutes. Okay. And I'd like you to respond to these, and it takes us to break. Now, and I'm trying for our viewers to understand and break things down. If your group at that press conference came out to say, this policy is meant to make your party lose the election. This policy, the CBN governor said, was approved by the president. The president has also come out to say he has approved it. Now, the president is a member of your party. Are you invariably or are you indirectly accusing the president of wanting your party to lose the election?
Well, you see, the thing is, I don't know what the president is thinking, so I can't talk or say what he's thinking. The only thing I can say is that he has been following our candidate to some of the state to campaign, so invariably he wants him to win. However, this policy is not helping us, because it is driving anger towards our party.
Do you think
that is why we are appealing to him?
It was intentional? Do you think that
no,
is an
I don't
intentional
think
act?
his intention is to make our party lose. It is the implementation that has now have unintended consequences, and that's why we say it should be reviewed. I don't know what the president is thinking. I can't speak for him. Whatever is in his heart, it is only him and God that knows. However, the action that has been taken is that he's been following our candidate to his
columnists in your party?
No, not in our party.
So what?
Maybe people that are talking to him that he listens to, because, for instance, the CBN governor, we don't know when he joined our party. And suddenly, he wanted to be a presidential candidate of our party. So yes, he may be one of the fifth columnists, and he may have other people working with him. I don't know. But whatever the CBN governor is doing, clearly is intended to cause harm. Not just to our party, but to the generality of Nigerians. Because all people that are not able to access money, to buy medication, to eat, they are not just our party members, they are Nigerians.
I want to ask you, maybe the CBN governor, maybe he thinks that he's doing his legitimate job. If you're asking for his sack, is it fair to him? Because his employer is the President Muhammadu Buhari. Just a moment. Okay. His employer is President Buhari, who thinks the man is doing his legitimate job because he gets the approval of the president on this policy.
You say he's doing his legitimate job, and is it fair to him? And I will just use this small proverb to close it. If you are sent a task of a slave, try and deliver it like a freeborn. You have put out the policy, you have seen the reaction all over the country. You don't need to go to court. You don't even need anything beyond a little common sense to see that there is problem. When there is a problem, like I keep using this word, when there are unintended consequences, no matter how good the policy is, let's have a review. This policy has, see people burning down banks. Who bears these responsibilities? He's even throwing his own his constituency under the bus. He was a former banker. He was an MD of a bank. His own particular bank that he came from have shut down for the past 1 week. So what are we talking about? You cannot make transfer to that bank. I don't want to mention the name, but he knows the bank he came from.
Should your party lose this election, would you blame Emefiele?
We will not lose the election, don't worry. We don't have any fear about losing. We will not. I don't even think about it.
What gives you the confidence?
Because Nigerians know that we didn't create this problem. And Nigerians know that whatever Emefiele is doing, he's doing it in order to fight back because he did not get the party nomination.
You think?
I know.
You think the people that are burning the tires, and you have said it yourself, that some people are saying...
Maybe you need to go on the street and speak to... I've spoken to a few people. I was in the petrol station a few days ago. I was at the Suya joint 3 nights ago. And the discussion we had, everybody knew where the issue is coming from. So we're not afraid of what will happen. And like our candidate said, just keep the peace. And we are going to tell people to try and keep the peace so that we will not have them bring out another idea of an entire national government.
Let me bring you to the realist circle.
Okay.
The game is a game of a win or a lose.
I know.
So it's either you win or you lose.
We know.
And you could win. I've lost before. So the question is
that election was in school now. Forget that thing. You've been saying it since.
There's no small election, Ayoyalo.
It was small.
But the question is that is either you win or you lose. Should your party lose this election, would you blame it on someone else?
Well, I have told you, and I'm going to reiterate it, we will not lose the election.
All right. That takes us to break, everyone. When we return, I'll be speaking with Ayoyalo on what happened today in Rivers State. Is it possible that Governor Wike might be endorsing Bola Tinubu? If that happens, what would change in the game? These are some of the thoughts that should be on your mind. And let's ask the question tonight. Deliberate on this part of the conversation on the politics of 2023 elections. Stay with me, everyone. We'll be right back. Thank you so much, everyone. Let's get back to the conversation with Ayoyalo, a political economist and a member of the APC. Thank you so much indeed for joining us.
Thank you, Sean.
Now, have you considered this? 13 political parties have vowed that they will withdraw from the race this election if the CBN governor reverses itself on the cash sword policy. What do you have to say to that?
All those 13 parties, they will not have up to 5,000 votes nationwide. Nationwide. So it's not an issue. It tells you that for them, it's about politics, not about human lives. And you remember when we were on break, I told you about what happened in India in November 2016, when they forcefully also did something similar to what we're doing. Forcefully withdraw the 5,000 and the 1,000 rupees in the guise of fighting against black marketeering. Eventually, what they succeeded in doing is to wipe out 1.5 million jobs. So what you are going to do with this is that the lowest cadre of people, you are wiping them out of the economy, you are wiping out jobs, and then you are going to, whatever you say you are fighting against, the black market that they say they were fighting against has returned in full force. So clearly, you have to think through things. Forcing and dictating a policy, especially fiscal, monetary policy like this, doesn't work. It never works. People will always find a way around it. So whatever you need to do, think through it. There are always better ways of doing it. Those parties are just jokers, seriously.
Quickly, before I move into other issue.
Sorry, let me just ask you, do you even know the name of any of their presidential candidates off heart? They're just jokers, so it's not a problem.
Is it fair to make reference?
If you are not a joker, you would not play with the lives of Nigerians that people must die just because of an election. That if they withdraw the policy, you will. Who does that? Human lives are at stake here.
How do you then speak to Nigerians? Because you're campaigning, the name of your candidate will not be on the ballot. It's going to be the logo of your party. How then do you campaign to Nigerians or tell them about your political party, whose policy all of these contradiction that is coming from your party is coming from?
Sure, we are being unfair. I have told you 100 times that this is not the policy of the APC. This is the policy of the CBN
government. You're confusing me now, actually.
Yeah, it's not the APC.
You know why it's confusing?
Because it's not in our manifesto that we're going to change money 45 days to the election. We didn't say that to Nigerians.
I asked you the question earlier.
Yeah.
The policy was approved by the president, the leader of your party.
Well, I told you that the president did that before. So clearly, when they told him, they didn't tell him these unintended consequences. And now that we have seen it, and also we are getting a report that there will be a shift and there will be an extension of date till April 10. I hope that breaking news is true.
We can't until we verify.
Exactly. That's why I said I hope. That's why I put caution behind that.
All right. So let's go into what happened today in Rivers State. I see that you're smiling.
Yeah.
Why the smile, though?
Because our spokesperson, Festus Keyamo, once said jungle goes so mature. Now jungle is maturing.
You think this is going to be in the favor of your party?
Of course it is in our favor. All the parties in Rivers State, SDP, PDP, APC, the major parties, are all in support of Jagaban himself. So we know now, before we are thinking, okay, maybe we can even get at least 30% in Rivers. Now we are actually looking at outright win in Rivers State. So it's good for our candidate.
So how realistic would that be? This is an assumption, though, because this is a visitation. There is no exact statement coming from that meeting.
There doesn't need to be a statement. They are adults. All the aides of the serving governor of Rivers State were there. All of them wearing the Jagaban logo cap. But they're not kids. And this is a governor, no matter how I disagree with him in his way, he has performed excellently well. In fact, it is to his credit that people of, for instance, Delta State knew that their governors have been given humongous amount, which they all hid from them, from their people. It was only Governor Wike that came out and said, we got this, and that's why I've been doing all these projects. Other people just took the money and kept quiet. And then everybody keep blaming President Buhari. He's a wicked man. He's a bad man. Meanwhile, the governors are getting humongous money that the PDP never paid them for 16 years. And they kept quiet. Only Governor Wike, of all of them. So yes, Governor Wike has done well to be able to campaign for somebody, and you will be comfortable and confident that he can win you the votes with his performance.
I mean, I know that you've been part of election preparation for your party and all of that. How easy will it be to, if the election of February 25th is the presidential and national assembly election, if you're campaigning for another political party presidential candidate, how easy do you think it will be to say, vote on this ballot for our party, but vote on that ballot for another political party?
Most of the people there are educated. They are not stupid people. They will vote for what they know is right. And if Jagaban is their candidate, they will vote for us. That's the APC. Now, the other part, I'm not campaigning for the other people. However, they should be able to do their own homework without waiting for what the national body will do for them. So for the presidency, which is where I am mainly concerned about, we are hopeful of winning all those kind of states, especially River State. Even the others, I don't want to mention these names, but you see, there's a governor who signs only MOU. The only thing that's commissioned in 8 years now, almost 8 years now, is street light. And he's busy fighting against supporting the policy that is killing his own people. After signing like 500 MOUs, he commissioned some street lights.
No, but let's take it to the election. There is a poll, a review poll of ANAP, the latest one for February, which still puts Peter Obi of the Labour Party ahead. Bola Tinubu comes second, Atiku Abubakar comes third, and Konkunso of the NNPC comes fourth in that poll released for February 2023. And in that ranking, it's saying that suppose the presidential election is being conducted today, who are you likely to vote for? 21% in favor of Peter Obi, 13% in favor of Bola Tinubu, Atiku Abubakar 10%, Konkunso of the NNPP 3%.
Please, what is the sample size and what was the method?
You have to ask the ANAP, the people.
You see, some of these polls, they just sit down in their rooms and make they make caricature of poll. I'm a PhD student. I concluded my MSc. I know how polls are conducted. When you take, I took for a poll that was supposed to be 4,000, I took a sample size of about 30. My supervisors rejected it. I had to go back and take a poll of 150. Then I used the Tarayama polling technique. You see, these people, we're all educated people. I can sit down and make a few phone calls within a certain vicinity. I will get what I want to get within that vicinity. You have to diversify your polls. These guys have not gone to Gombe. They have not gone to Borno. They have not gone to Yobe. They were not in Jigawa. They just sit down in Lagos or wherever they sat and then just make up these numbers. And it's not even funny any longer. It's an insult and an indictment on the academia. If you want to do a poll of a country of 200 million with 96 million voters with 777 local government, come on. There are sample sizes that you cannot use because it's not going to give you something very close to the truth.
I think this same organization polled in 2015 and 2019, which was in favor of your candidate.
See, I have told you, we are not working with all these funny polls.
No, the question I'm asking is different.
Well, I can't remember, and I don't want to talk about it.
No, I'm telling you. Okay. I can remember. Okay. But I'm saying that this same organization polled and said President Buhari was going to win in 2015 and 2019, and President Buhari did.
But did you see us celebrate their polls? No. Because we know that these are not credible polls. A credible poll will take a substantial sample size and a diverse sample size.
Is it because it's not in your favor?
No, I just ask you a simple question. You say I have to ask them, but I'm telling you that for a land size of Nigeria with 96 million voters, thrown around about 100 and something thousand polling units, come on, just took sample size of 2,000 people and you say it will give
Peter Obi is being tipped from that poll to win the election.
The same people say Peter Obi will win Kwara State, he will win Lagos State, he will win Oyo State. I called my brother in Ogbomoso, you know I'm from Ogbomoso, and they've never had the name. So you see, it's easy to sit down in your room, make up these figures and throw them around. We are not bothered about all this. For what they are trying to do is, they know that Peter Obi will not even come second. He might come fourth after lower than rejected ballot, so that they can now have reason to create problem. That's why they are doing all these things.
Ayayalawa, political economist and member of the APC. Thank you so much for coming tonight.
Thank you for having me.